justice, temperance, wisdom, courage. Applying ancient philosophy to modern times, this is the Sunday Stoic. Episode 11 of the Sunday Stoic. I'm Steve, and today we'll be talking a little bit about time. Lending out time, letting people influence your time, influence your life. And we'll be hearing, of course, from Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius, our typical format this week. I'd like to thank everyone who's emailed the show and volunteered to read. You can volunteer also, if you'd like, at sundaystoic@gmail.com. So sundaystoic@gmail.com. Shoot me an email. Check it out. I'm also on Facebook. I have a Facebook page called The Sunday Stoic, where I mostly post episodes there, but I'll occasionally post other things as well. And I have a blog that I occasionally update called The Sunday Stoic at wordpress.com. So today we're talking about time. How much time do we lend out to others? And not only time, but how much do we let others live in our own heads and influence our thoughts? So kind of a dual theme, but basically the influence of others both on our minds and on our time. We have 3 readers today: my wife, Chrissy, here in Arkansas, Mark in the UK, and Chris Harvey in Saigon will be reading today. So quite a lot of geographic diversity represented in the show today. That's pretty cool. I appreciate all the readers, and I encourage anyone else out there who'd like to read to send me an email, and I'll work with you to pick out a reading. And if you have any topics you want covered or readings you'd love to do, let me know. The Thoughts of Marcus Aurelius, Chapter 3, Verse 10.
Throwing away then all things, hold to these only which are few. And besides, bear in mind that every man lives only this present time, which is an indivisible point, and that all the rest of his life is either past or it is uncertain. Short then is the time which every man lives, and small the nook of the earth where he lives, and short too the longest posthumous fame, and even this only continued by a succession of poor human beings, who will very soon die, and who know not even themselves, much less him who died long ago.
Enchiridion by Epictetus, Chapter 28. If a person gave your body to any stranger he met on his way, you would certainly be angry. And do you feel no shame in handing over your own mind to be confused and mystified by anyone who happens to verbally attack you?
On the Shortness of Life by Seneca.
Men do not suffer anyone to seize their estates, and they rush to stones and arms if there is even the slightest dispute about the limit of their lands. Yet they allow others to trespass upon their life. Nay, they themselves even lead in those who will eventually possess it. No one is to be found who is willing to distribute his money. Yet among how many does each of us distribute his life? In guarding their fortune, men are often closed-fisted. Yet, when it comes to the matter of wasting time, in the case of the one thing in which it is right to be miserly, they show themselves most prodigal.
We've talked about this before, but I know personally myself, I'm very good at wasting time. And there will be a time in my life, probably near the end of it, where I regret that deeply. How much more life could I have squeezed out of the time that I have? And part of that time that I waste is worrying about what others think of me and letting them influence my mind. If someone insults me or makes me mad or whatever it may be, it's really easy to bring that up over and over and over all day long and let that person's insult affect your whole day. Let them live in your head all day. And we hear the Stoics warning us against these sorts of influences. We are to be just. We are to be social. We are to have joy in our lives. But we are to be our own person, to be confident in our virtues, and to not take the opinions of the crowd. The Stoics often warn us against the opinion of the crowd. And in Marcus Aurelius' reading today, we hear him reflecting on this idea that time passes and that even the most famous person who's like, he was emperor, right? And he's one of the few folks who were around at that time that we still remember. Think of all the Romans who were alive at that time. We don't know the names of more than a handful. And Marcus says even the most famous person whose fame lives well beyond their days is only remembered by people who they themselves are going to die. So people will remember you, those people will die, and eventually your memory will die. And even if you are remembered for a long time, those people didn't know you. They know the stories of you. They hardly know themselves. So they probably aren't individuals that reflect on their daily lives and know a lot about themselves even. So what are they really going to know of you? Very, very, very little. So time passes, things fade away. Don't get hung up on what people think of you. It's not worth the time. Now, Epictetus is good at saying things that really make you think. And he says, you would be offended if someone gave your body to someone else. Like, hey, I sold your body to the person down the street. What the heck, man? But he says, we willingly let others affect our minds all the time. We let others trespass on our minds all the time. Someone says something that makes us mad and we stew on it all day long. We let them in. They take up our time. They take up our minds. This is something we need to put an end to. I highly recommend you check out the book by William Irvine, The Guide to the Good Life. That was my introduction to Stoicism, and he talks a bit about that in there. He actually has come to the point where he collects insults. He thinks it's fun. It's a good way to practice your Stoic virtues. To be insulted lets you practice. So think of things that would normally make you mad. Think of them as great opportunities to practice your Stoicism. You're not going to let that insult affect you. It's outside your control. Don't let it in. Don't let it ruin your day. Now, our last reading is from a large essay by Seneca called On the Shortness of Life. It's one that I myself have not delved deep into yet, but I am looking forward to it. And what we hear here is kind of a reflection on what the other two have said. People are miserly when it comes to their money for the most part. They don't give it away freely. You hold on to what you got. People often fight over material possessions and properties, and if someone trespasses on their stuff or on their property, they will fight. They will go to war. They will call the police. They will do whatever it takes. However, we let people trespass on our time constantly. We're rushing around all day long trying to keep up with things, saying yes to too much stuff, and we're not taking the time to grow as individuals. We're just spending time. And time is the one commodity that is truly ours that we should be miserly with. We should really use our time mindfully. Spend it in a way that you're proud of, not in a way that you think you have to, but you really don't. So this week, what can we do to live up to these ideas? Only say yes to the things that truly matter, the things that align with your goals in life. Part of that might be being a good person and helping your neighbor move, or helping, taking your child to practice, or whatever it may be. But you don't have to say yes to everything. You don't have to go out to the bar. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do that. You don't have to work late tomorrow. You can come home, see your children, maybe read a little Marcus Aurelius and reflect. Spend some quality time doing things like that. We can be miserly with our time and not feel bad about it. Only say yes to the things that really matter, that fit within those virtues that we're trying to cultivate in ourselves. So work on that and think about that. And feel free to email the show, sundaystoic@gmail.com. I look forward to hearing from you in the future, and I'll see you in our next episode. Carpe diem.